I love making pizza, and I've made quite a few pizzas on this channel. But this one here is something I haven't done before. This is a cast iron pizza, but you know that from the title and the thumbnail. I promised this pizza from the Pizza Stone versus Pizza Steel. That is if you're making different kinds of pizza, but this is a pan pizza, and she's special because I have to use this because it's still hot because it just came out of the oven. I'm using this thing, big 14-inch cast iron, we call it a pizza pan, but it's a Kamal. We're using that to make our pizza, our pan pizza. It's got a special dough. It's got a lot of special things about this thing, and it is absolutely delicious. And the longer I talk, the longer I have to wait to dig into it. So we're just going to get started and hopefully teach you something about making a cast iron pizza at home. Because if you're getting started making pizza, this is a good one to start with. All right? Speaking of getting started, let's get started. Let's start by making the dough. This dough is a high hydration dough. What that means is it's got a little bit of higher percentage of water in it. We're using 360 grams of high protein bread flour and 250 grams of lukewarm water in this. That gives us a hydration number around 70%. To that I added 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of instant yeast, not active yeast, they are different, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. Also, there's 1 tablespoon of whole milk. That gives us a very soft, amazing dough. Mix that until you get this slack dough right here. Then basically just stop and let that sit. Put a damp towel over the bowl of the mixer for about 15 to 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. And then we're going to start mixing again. We're going to add our 1 teaspoon of fine kosher or sea salt and 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the mixer and give this a whipping up. It's a sticky dough, so it's going to stick to the bottom of the bowl like this. It's okay, just keep going until it all releases off. Now this video is sped up a little bit and edited for time, so it takes about 4 to 6 minutes for that to happen. Now we've got our dough out. It's ready to go. We are going to start shaping this thing. This is a sticky dough, so a little bit of water or oil on your hands will help keep it from sticking to your hands quite a bit. But it's going to stick to the counter a little here. Now we're going to do the slap and fold method a little bit differently with this. Grab 2 sides, swing it and get it to stretch out, turn it 90 degrees, fold it onto itself. Do that at least 4 times. That gets you a nice protein structure in there and really helps build the dough and the strength of the dough. Now we are going to shape this into a ball. It is super, super soft, so we added a little bit of flour to keep from sticking quite so much. You don't want to use too much or you change the hydration level of the dough. So just use the minimum amount you need. The dough is really, really soft. If you're used to making like a New York pizza or regular Neapolitan pizza, something like that, those are much firmer doughs at this point. This step right here helps build some of that firmness. I'm pushing really hard with a big open hand. You will feel the dough come back and start fighting against you. When it gets really firm, now it's time to shape it into the ball. Get your 2 hands, kind of tuck it under as you go, get a nice clean, shiny skin on there. And now it is time to let this thing ferment in proof. We're doing this on the counter, so we have a bowl here with some oil. We pinch the bottom of our bowl shut. We put a little bit more oil on top of this. You have to make sure that the bowl is really well greased, otherwise it's going to stick like crazy. You can use plastic bowl if you don't have a glass bowl. Just put some plastic wrap on top of this thing and seal it really good to keep all the moisture inside so it doesn't dry out. But it has to be able to breathe a little bit, so I like to poke 4 small little holes in there, put a towel on it, and let it sit. 6 hours on the counter at room temperature. Dough's been setting, proofing, fermenting, and it is time to look under the towel and see what we have. Through the magic of pizza doughing, yeah, she proofed. Woohoo! Now, it will not proof if you look at it. So the towel is, it's a magic trick. So make sure you keep the towel on there, otherwise it will not rise like that. That is a fermented dough. We just did that on the counter 6 hours. You can do this in the fridge overnight. 2 days is fantastic. If you want to go further than that, well, then you better know a whole lot more about pizza science, because yeast has cycles. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. You have to get it on an up. If you get it on a down, it doesn't work, so it's up. Okay, we've got our 14-inch cast iron pizza pan here. It's not terribly heavy, 6 pounds, 7 pounds, something like that. It's gonna work good for this. It's got short sides on it, so it's not gonna give you like a Chicago deep dish. This is more like the Pizza Hut pan pizza sort of thing, but you know, actually good. These are fairly inexpensive, $20, $25, something like that. I got this one on Amazon, and I actually have a link if you want to buy this specific one. That is an affiliates link, so if you buy one there, I do make a little bit of money off it. Help support the channel if you want to. You don't have to. I personally like this thing, and it's great for so many other things. This is my Kamal, so it also makes pizza. Twofer. I have a small kitchen. If something doesn't twofer, I don't own it. Okay, we are going to put some olive oil on the bottom of this. You need a lot of olive oil. It's going to help this thing move. It's going to give it the nice bits of browning, shall we say, on the crust, and the loveliness in there. So, a little bit of olive oil, just like this. We're going to take our dough out. We're going to form this. We need to let this sit again. As you can see, it's cast iron. Cast iron will always have a little bit of funk to it because I use this for many things. But yeah, we're going to have to let this sit again. So this is the first proofing, fermenting, basically proofing more or less. We're going to gently get this thing out of here without tearing it to shreds. We do not want to lose all of the wonderful air and everything else that we've gotten into this. The yeast has done wonderful jobs. It's done everything we've asked of it. It's created this wonderful light dough, and the last thing we want to do is go killing that. My husky Rufus is freaking out because it's just about dinner time, and he doesn't understand why he can't have pizza. Little secret, he can have pizza. Just, it has to be cooked first. Rufus heard the word pizza. It was the first word he learned, probably as a small puppy. I got him when he was about 5. Someone had already taught him what pizza was. Our first, I won't say our first tussle, because when you get a 5-year-old husky, there's a bit of fun that goes with that. But one of our first tussles was I had made a frozen pizza. I know, sometimes I do that. And I set it down, and I turned around, and I came back, and the frozen pizza was gone, and most of it was in Rufus in like 4 seconds. He ate the whole pizza. Pizza dough, what are you going to do? Okay, this is starting to deflate. I'm going to work faster. Less talking, more worky. Okay, so we have our pan here. We have our dough here. We have to stretch this out, but we're going to do this as gently as possible. So think of this like focaccia. You're in there on the fingers. You are just poking, prodding, loose fingers, kind of stretch it out a little bit. It is not going to go and stick all the way out. It won't do that. That's why we have to let this sit again. But as you can see, it's pretty doggone close. I think she was close to her fall cycle. You don't want to steal everything from the center because then you get the really flat center. Try and, you don't want to do, indent in any one area because you'll get very little amounts of dough. But yeah, she's pulling back quite a bit here. We are going to grab some plastic wrap, put this over this, cover this thing so that it doesn't completely dry the skin out of it. Air and all of that will ruin a pizza dough. So we're going to put some plastic wrap over this, let this sit room temperature for an hour. We'll be back. We're going to top it and throw it in the oven. There you go. Hold on. All right. It has been an hour or a little bit over. Nothing ever goes quite to plan. Our pizza dough is looking beautiful. Again, you have to put a towel over it or the magic doesn't happen. It's the law. All right, so this has stuck to it, so we know that we're good. It has pushed out a little bit into the edges. That is fantastic. It looks incredible. It looks focaccia-y almost. which is really good because this is kind of a Sicilian sort of pizza, sort of esque, where they take the inspiration from. So that's kind of what you want. It's perfect. Now, the biggest benefit to doing this is that you don't have to have a pizza stone or a pizza steel. However, this is a cold lump of cast iron. When this goes in there, it's actually going to buffer the dough and prevent it from cooking as fast. If you have a steel or a stone, put it in your oven and then put this on it. It transfers the heat into this pan faster and it works great as long as this thing is flat. If you get one of these things that starts to warp and it gets a little thing to it, sometimes it can happen. Generally not with cast iron, but it can happen if you've got a wobble to it. This one's slight wobble because it gets used on the stove and it causes it to kind of dip a little in the middle. That actually, putting on the steel or stone actually hurts it at that point because there's that little air gap in there. That air gap is insulation. Insulation does not transfer heat. That's why they call it insulation, not thermal conductivity. Ooh, sorry, big words. But that's basically it. The biggest benefit of this is you don't need a peel. And it tastes good. So we're just going to sauce this thing up. Alright, this is going in the oven. The oven is set at about 475. This is going in until it is nice and melty and toasty and wonderful. You are not going to burn this pizza. As long as you don't burn the top, you're not going to burn the bottom. It's going in the bottom third of the oven so that the crust does cook more than the top. If you put it higher up, it'll cook the cheese faster. And this dough really wants to cook longer. So we cook this one lower than you would a different kind of pizza. There you go. That's all the information I have at the moment. This is going in. I'll see you back here in a minute. Does pineapple belong on a pizza? Well, to my Hawaiian friends, I say kono aka aka hulu aka hana hana hulu. In English, that means I don't speak Hawaiian. Alright, we're about 9 or 10 minutes later. This is out of the oven. It looks... Smell-o-vision. Oh, seriously. The next best thing is you're going to have to make this because it smells like a pizzeria in here. That is amazing. It's gorgeous. But here's the fun thing with a pan pizza. The pan is hot. So it is still cooking the bottom of this thing. The top is done. We're going to leave this sit in the pan to cool off just a little bit. Bonus tip, if your pizza dough isn't quite cooked on the bottom, the crust isn't quite right, you can finish this on the stove on high heat for about a minute, minute and a half to get it nice and crispy. Now back to the video. But just basically give this a second, then we're going to depan this thing, chop it up, and taste it, and then say thank you for watching. But you got to come stick around because we got more to do. Hang on. After the longest 7 minutes of my life, it is time to get this pizza out of the pan. I have a really long, this is like a cake decorating thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't decorate cakes, but that's what they tell me on the internet. So we're just going to get under this, give it a little lift, right out, boom, boom. There you go. Now, it's time to gut this sucker. I'm going right down this way. This is not something where you're going to get a crisp on it because it's a pan pizza. If you're looking for the crisp and the crunch, you've got to cook this thing on a steel or a stone. But in a pan, it's just going to be a little softer. Just FYI. And that is how you do that. Hopefully. I don't know. I've never sharpened that thing, and perhaps I should. This is really soft, wonderful, amazing pizza, which is what you want in a pan pizza. You want this lovely, doughy, light, amazing pizza. Oh, And she is. She's pillowy and wonderful and soft and amazing and incredible. And that is what you get with a pan pizza in a cast iron pan. There are many different kinds of pans to make pan pizza in. This is just the cast iron version of this. You can get just like a sheet metal pan. Those actually cook a little bit faster, a little bit better, because the pan doesn't buffer the heat as much. They have aluminum ones. There is, what is it, Amera Metal Craft something, I think it is. There's a thing on Amazon. I'll try and put a link down there to their store. They have pizza pans galore, everything you can imagine. Those work really good as well if you don't want to use the cast iron. If you have the room to put an extra pan in there, this is just the cast iron version of this if you don't have a steel or a stone. And that is gorgeous pizza. I'm going to go tear into this thing, and I'm going to say thank you for watching. If you like this video, there's a thumbs up thing down there. Always appreciate that. And hopefully I see you on the next video. Until then, have a good one.